Have you ever asked yourself the question, what is more valuable to my employees? Is it coaching or mentorship? Well, I'm here to tell you the research that we found from our study on the United States Happiness Report. If you'd like to find additional details, you can find them in the show notes below. But 65% of working Americans believe that if they had access to a success or an executive coach, it would improve their ability to be more happy and resilient. Now, it is a little higher for mentorship. 71% of working Americans believe that if they had access to a mentor within the organization, it would improve their happiness and resilience at work. While having a mentor was also valuable according to the research, mentors and coaches can play different roles in organizations, and you might find that it's valuable in your organization for your employees or key employees to have both. Mentors within the organization can be very helpful in helping employees at every level understand the corporate culture, how they can improve in their own individual jobs, specifically in the work that they do, but then also how they can have advancement opportunities within the specific organization. A coach's role might be a little bit different. They might encourage an individual to improve and increase in their own value system, in their own productivity, in their own goal setting, and their own success opportunities. And you might have different ways that a mentor or a coach can support an individual organization. This year, I had the opportunity to coach multiple executives in a few different organizations. I was grateful for the opportunity to be invited in to work with individuals. And one of the things that I found is that those that I worked with that had both advanced quicker and did better in their organizations than those who just had an executive coach. If they have a mentor within the organization, it gives them an opportunity to be able to understand both their personal levels and ways that they can improve, but then also where they fit within the organization as a whole. I bring up this conversation today because I had two unique experiences that changed my view about how I look at both coaching and mentorship. One was a conversation that I had with a colleague of mine. We work in similar fields. He also does executive coaching and works with organizations that have generational differences and works on succession planning. One of the things that he said is that he was coaching an organization where the CEO decided that every single employee needed two coaches, a success or mindset coach and a physical coach, somebody that would help them with their physical bodies, whether that was a personal trainer, someone to help them with their exercise, nutrition. And one part of their wellness program is to give each employee both a success or executive coach and a physical coach or trainer. I think this is a fantastic approach to emotional wellness. While not cheap, it is certainly making an investment in both the physical and mental capabilities of their team and is showing that emotional intelligence is a priority within their organization. Some people ask me the question, what's more important, mental wellness or physical wellness? And I think that they play a hand-in-hand role. Though if you only had to choose one, I would say start with emotional wellness, because emotional wellness can often trigger a greater value or likelihood to improve physical wellness as well. But I found that so interesting. And I even thought about myself. I've always been interested in investing in my own coaching. Even though I'm a coach myself, I always will have a success coach or mentor or somebody that I'm working with. Typically, it's someone that I pay, which is one of the biggest differences between coaches and mentors is that coaches, there's typically an investment where mentors are doing it out of service for the organization. While that is valuable and still an investment because time is still a resource that we invest in the organization and the people that we choose to mentor, when there is an investment of money, even if paid for by the organization, there is a value for what comes to that hour, and people are more likely to approach the time that they set aside with a coach to be valuable. But as I was thinking about this and my own investment into coaching, do I take the same investment on my physical activity? And of course, I've got goals and habits that I've created, daily, weekly, monthly habits around my physical activities, so that because I know that they are inseparably connected, I don't invest in a physical coach at the same level that I invest in a success or a mindset coach. And so I made that shift, and it's really changed the way that I approach my business. And so as a CEO myself, the importance that I've placed on understanding both the physical and mental wellness of my own brain and body and how I show up to the office is important. And whether or not you choose to invest in both of those coaches for all of your employees, or even start with your leadership team, it starts to help you think and understand why it's important for your employees to have an understanding of both emotional and physical wellness, whatever level that looks like. Also, I had an experience early on in my professional career. One of the first jobs that I had while I was working in college, I was studying marketing and communications, and I was working at a television station. I was really grateful for the opportunity to work. I was in a small market, so I got to be a big fish in a small pond. I had access to lots of different parts of the organization. I was able to work with commercial production, do sales contracts, and work with the manager of our station on a number of different events, projects, and initiatives. And it was really a great hands-on experience, especially in my expertise. I remember when he came in and told me one day that he had hired a mindset coach, and I laughed out loud. And it was an involuntary response, and he was actually kind of offended by my laughter, but I need to help you understand who Dan is. He is one of the most put together people I have ever met in my entire life. He had told me previously that it takes him 45 minutes to iron his shirt in the morning because he really cares about creases and he wants to make sure that he looks perfect. His hair was always perfectly done. His car was always clean. His desk was always, and I thought to myself, if Dan needs a coach, what is wrong with the rest of us? And granted, this was 25 years ago, early on in my professional career, and it was kind of the first time I'd ever heard of coaching. I share this experience with you because you might have employees that have similar responses to what I did when you start talking about coaching and mentorship. They might even think, why do I need that? They probably have the kind of confidence that makes them feel exempt from that kind of coaching, mentorship, or even advancement opportunities. Younger generations typically have higher confidence, and so they might feel like they don't need it. That said, this is a key time. Start looking at some of your entry-level employees. If you're thinking about employee engagement and retention, helping them understand their emotional wellness and the values that they can contribute to the organization will be one of the key ways that helps them determine whether or not they stay long-term or if they seek a different working environment that will provide them the emotional wellness and training that they need. Gone are the days where employees are just punching clocks. They're looking for a way for their work life to feel like a lifestyle. And they want to make sure that it is not just a professional match, but that it is a personal match as well. The evidence in our research shows this. It says that 66% say that their relationship with their manager impacts their overall happiness and wellness at work. The study goes on to ask questions like, what matters to you when it comes to having a relationship with your boss or manager? Things like having them take an interest in hobbies and interests outside of work, being transparent or trustworthy, having integrity, but then also having the ability to have good conversations. But they also list emotional intelligence as being an important way that they see that their manager or leadership cares about them in their organization. So as you think about coaching and executive coaching, it might be tempting to just say, I'll have managers handle that. If that's the case, make sure that your managers understand their role as mentors in their organization and make sure that they are trained to be able to have productive, healthy conversations that will help advance their individual employees at their levels. At any level of the organization, it will take training and a concerted effort to make sure that those who are leading in emotional wellness are the ones who are also trained to do that, so that you don't have to undo what they do or bring in someone else to teach or relearn what might have been taught inadvertently. So as you think about the differences between executive coaching versus mentorship and the value that both provide to your organization, where can you begin? You might be thinking this is kind of costly. We mentioned that a little bit earlier, and it could be. However, you might start small. Choose an incubator group that you choose to invest in for executive coaching, and then find a way to test and understand the investment that you're making within your employees. Every organization that I work with that invests in their employees at this level comes back to me at the end of the year and says, I do not regret this investment at all. In some cases, Having outside coaching gave them an opportunity to understand not only the strengths, but the weaknesses of their employees. And while I trust that the relationship that I have from coach to employee is just like attorney-client privilege, I actually don't share the findings. And that's one of the hardest parts for executives, is that I will not share with them what's discussed in coaching conversations. We have to have a level of trust where they feel comfortable. However, there are conversations that I encourage employees to have with their managers, bosses, and even CEOs based off of the conversations that we have that help them understand where they fit in the organization. And in some cases, we find that there aren't the right people in the right seats, and adjustments need to be made. And so helping you to know and understand that you have the right resources, the right talents, the right abilities in the right seats, or the need to be able to shift and move things around is invaluable for your organization. So whether you do it internally or externally, I encourage you to start having conversations with your leadership team about how you can provide the kind of coaching and mentorship necessary to improve each of your employees at every level. And whether you start with a small group or make it company-wide, you will not regret the investments that you make in your people. We have an additional video that's available for you that comes out next week that talks about employee engagement and retention, especially recruiting top talent. You'll be interested in hearing the findings from our research about this so that you can focus on how to bring these practices together to use executive coaching and mentorship to also help you retain and keep top talent. Please stay tuned for that video and additional videos. There are other resources available for you here also in the show notes, and you can find additional details on the research at speakmichelle.com/research. We'll see you next week.